Hey guys, so I am at this point a mere just a couple weeks away from birthing this little man, and I've been doing some reflecting, obviously, on my birth experience with Harper, and doing a lot of just kind of analyzing about the types of advice that I get from people. I can remember a few of my friends being a little appalled at the way people were so open to share their horror stories surrounding birth, and I know there are lots of people doing work to try and remove the fear out of birth and to share empowering birth stories, but I think that the trauma that is surrounding those who want to share their horror stories needs to be shared as well, but I would like to try and reframe it so that we share lessons with each other. I don't want first-time moms going in scared of birth or being completely unprepared. So while I had a lot to learn my first go around, I wanted to go ahead and share with you 3 of the main lessons that I am taking with me into this birth, and maybe how I've changed the way that I've prepared and what I'm doing differently this time around. So, numero uno. And before I get started, let me backtrack a little bit. I can't see my screen, so if you type some questions up, you have questions for me, I will go back and answer them in the comments as soon as I'm done. Alright, so number 1, my first lesson that I was surprised to learn is that my prenatal care provider, there's a pretty strong chance that he or she won't be your pregnancy or your labor and delivery care provider, and I'm talking about obstetricians in our area. A lot of them operate in an on-call pool, which means every night there's a different doctor from that practice on call, and unless your doctor is one who likes to attend the births of his clients, then you may not get him. You may just get whoever's on call, and that happened to me. My doctor was away playing in a softball tournament, and I did not know that would happen until we showed up to the hospital while I was in labor. So that was a big curveball. I had spent the last 10 months getting to know a certain provider, and it was a bit of a blow to my confidence to know that he wasn't going to be the one attending the birth, or he wasn't going to be the one that helped to facilitate this experience for me, because I had been telling him he knew what my preferences were. He knew what experience I was hoping for, and I never wrote it down. I didn't have a birth plan, and so when I got the on-call doctor, or when I got the news that my doctor wouldn't be attending my birth, I was very disappointed. So that's something that I try to communicate to everyone. Be sure that you mesh well with everyone in the practice, because in a few of our groups, you have maybe a 20% chance that your care provider is going to be the actual one that attends your birth. And you want to make sure that every provider in that group is okay with facilitating the care that you want and knows what your priorities are. And so this time around, I have found a provider who practices what we like to call continuity of care, and pending some extenuating circumstance, the provider that I've had every prenatal meeting with will be the one at my birth. So she knows me, I know her, and she's prepared to help facilitate the experience that I want. So that is important to me, because I like to have people around me that I've developed relationships with. And birth is a pretty intimate time, so if you get a stranger in there with you, then it can kind of inhibit your progress, especially if you're shy. And so either find a practice that can guarantee you continuity of care, or be sure that you have support, professional support, i.e. a doula, that is somebody that knows you and knows what you want and isn't afraid to ask for it for you. So and now we move on to lesson number 2. When I was preparing for labor with Harper, I knew that I would have to surrender to the contractions. I was prepared to do that. I felt like I handled contractions really, really well. I wanted a physiological birth with her, which means few interventions, if any at all, and no pain meds. But so I sailed through contractions, got to complete, which was 100% effaced, 10 centimeters dilated, and at that point I was prepared for it to be go time. Like, I was like, all right, I get to do something. There's no more letting go. I can use my background as an athlete to muscle my way through this and get this baby out of me. So my contractions kind of died down a little bit, and I was falling asleep. I had the monitors on, so I was asking everyone in the room to let me know when a contraction was coming so that I could push. And I pushed with everything that I had. I was, full on dramatic, grunting, screaming, muscling my way through getting this baby out, and she was not budging. It wasn't until after about 2 hours of that I finally felt what that urge is. So you've got this layer of nerves that sit kind of right about where baby has to turn the corner to come out. And when baby stimulates those nerves, that's when you get this unbearable urge to bear down. And like I said, I didn't feel that until I had already kind of wedged Harper into a place where she wasn't going to come out. So lesson number 2 is that if your body is not ready to push, if you don't feel the urge to push, even though your cervix is completely gone, rest, be thankful, and trust your baby, trust your body that you may need this rest, because you still have a battle to go to get baby here, but your uterus will actually do the majority of the work. So if there's a pause, don't freak out. And let me just put a disclaimer in there, though. If your doctor says it's time to get baby out, you better push with all your might. So listen to your doctor, of course. Listen to your provider. And but there's a chance that there will be a phase in there that you won't feel like pushing. So don't push. And it's totally okay. And the last lesson that I learned, which was the hardest of all, I don't know that I learned this lesson for a really long time. Harper is now 4.5 years old, and I maybe accepted full responsibility for this just a couple months ago. And so this last lesson is that you are responsible for the choices that you make during birth, and during pregnancy, for that matter. Some of you may not know, but I did choose to complete my journey with birth with Harper with surgery. She was born via cesarean, and the official reason for that was failure to progress, which may or may not have had something to do with me pushing for 2 hours before my body and Harper was ready, before either of them were ready to come out. Well, my body wasn't even come out, but you know what I mean. And so for a long time, I wanted to blame everyone around me for that. I wanted to blame the doctor for offering it up without telling me it was major surgery, and without telling me what kind of experience I might have later afterwards in recovery, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, everything like that. None of that was really discussed with me. I wanted to blame my doula for not helping me understand what was going on, but ultimately that decision was made by me. I made the decision to not really be educated in what my options were. I chose. I very easily could have said, no, let's wait. If baby's okay, let's wait. And so the lesson here is get educated, hire a doula, tell that doula your expectations of her, and assume responsibility for your experience, or at least for the choices that you do make during birth. I think that is where a lot of trauma is coming from, not necessarily in things that you cannot control, but that women are losing control over things that we really shouldn't be losing control over. So, like I said, get educated on your options, get educated in the process of birth and what it might look like, and make sure that every choice that you have time to talk about, you think about, you analyze, and you discuss either prenatally with your provider, prenatally with your doula, so that she can help you make those choices when you're not supposed to be thinking, or with your partner, whoever's going to be in there with you. And if your provider is not supportive of those choices that you want to make, find a new one. So those are my 3 lessons. I am anxious to hear if you guys have any questions, or if you have more lessons to share with me on those lessons that you've learned. I'm happy to add them to a blog post, because I think that sharing lessons and instead of horror stories with future parents to be is really where we can start empowering women to take control over their experiences and hopefully lessen the trauma surrounding childbirth, because it really is a transformative experience and can really set the tone for how motherhood's gonna go. And I just want everyone to feel empowered by their birth, whether it followed a certain plan or not. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment or any questions down below, and I will answer them as soon as I can. I hope you guys have a great night, and I hope you're having a relaxing Friday, because I am about to go lay my butt on the couch. Maybe start a new book, because I think Josh is watching football, and I don't really like football. So have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.